Tesla's in a massive spot, guys. We have seen stock price gap down from bad news to the number one support level on the daily analysis. It does lead us to believe, knowing Tesla's history, that we will come up to go fill this gap, leaving some short-term momentum on the table for traders, guys. With that being said, my name is Dylan. Dylan's Trades. We're going to break straight to this technical analysis breakdown, first stemming over on the weekly analysis. On the weekly analysis, guys, of Tesla, such an interesting and simple image of stock price, right? When we zoom way out, we're looking at the last couple of years of Tesla. Each one of these candlesticks represents 1 week price action. So we did enter this better seen on the monthly, this pennant-like structure, a little bit unorthodox in nature as this ascending trend line formed about 50% within the pattern. Typically we do see these structures form like this, perfectly symmetrical. It's not a let out, but interesting enough, we do take this trend line. Notice how it perfectly coincides with this downtrend. So very solidified breakout within this guy. Guys, when we did see the upside, very euphoric squeeze up as we expected. When we jump over to the weekly analysis, notice how we had this perfect range we were following. We did get the breakout over the top. Just such a beautiful setup, guys. We break a macro perspective structure with some very bullish signs. We formed this range, and once broken over this range, guys, we rode all the way to 488. Then we formed another range, consolidating, getting tight. We broke the floor of the meaningful candle. We hung out at 362, the number one resistance level on a weekly analysis. At this level for 1, 2, 1, 2, and 3 weeks. This 1 week being at the body, and these 2 weeks and rejection. So as of now, once again, we did form another one of these range structures. This time being almost in the same pocket, guys. And this is why we initially covered Tesla as of recently, as we saw there's a lot of upside to be had within this range, coming down to these major swing lows. We did see the breakout within this bullish engulfing, pressing up with these 2 wide bars, getting tight, building this extra energy we mentioned when this happened live, guys, building that energy on the top of this range. Very bullish, guys. We did see the breakout until getting jammed out at 362, which in the past, guys, with these run-ups is a huge area. With that being said, guys, this is a weekly analysis where we really want to zoom out, right? Because we're looking at multi-phase stages. Some technical analysis setups, what happened a year ago, a year and a half ago, doesn't matter. This is not the case. With that being said, now, better seen on the daily, but we're trying to form this, cup and handle S structure now on the daily, being that we knife down, forming this downwards trend into this consolidation, knifing up. So now we're kind of in this consolidation, guys, and we're right at the floor on the weekly. So this is the spot where we should get a spike up, right? Kind of leading into this consolidation. So from a short-term perspective on the weekly, we're hanging on this super important level, which was the previous top for this range, which we mentioned, guys, previous resistance turned support. And that's what we've seen, guys. We've seen numerous bounces, which we have expected. We've got an incredibly good read on Tesla, guys. And it's very corresponds to technical analysis. So as of now on the weekly candlesticks, we're seeing a thin candle pressed right at this former resistance level, which is major, guys, which led us to this big upside breakout of 28%. So, we're using this as support as of now. Obviously, we crack hard below this 288 marker. It's not looking good, guys. Within that reason, you arguably could push to the next zone being down to 73. But as of now, guys, it does, history often does repeat itself. We should use this as support, rising up to 314. So on the weekly analysis, it's a little bit of a hard one to analyze, to predict, as we're seeing a lot of aggression from the sellers within these highs, and we're more or less in this consolidation chopping around, guys. So as of now, we're at the floor. We expect to come somewhere halfway up, and yeah, guys. So that's what we're looking like on the weekly. We do believe as of now, this consolidation will lead into the breakout, being that all the data points we mentioned, guys, right, centering back to the monthly, etc. When in doubt, zoom out. It's a great quote. And if it's more medium based on the, other time frames, you zoom out. The macro perspective, guys, we're working in this nice bullish trajectory with this clear uptrend, breaking out of this structure, break and retest. So we do feel we're still trending in the right direction until stock price knifes below this heavy support on the daily analysis. Underneath this candle, then we can maybe shift the trend, right? Then we'll be in contention for kind of knocking out of this consolidation. We'll break the floor, right? And then we'll be maybe moving lower. But until then, Tesla does look good. And yeah, guys, so let's go jump over to the daily. Guys, Tesla's always been very responsive to these gap ups. And that's currently what we're seeing. Sorry, gap up and gap down. That's currently what we're seeing on the daily analysis, right? We gap down from this level. We mentioned within the last update around here that, guys, we just don't have a good read, right, within this green candle. We just You don't expect much to happen. We're either going to break the support level and move to the floor over here, which we did, or we're going to break this resistance up here and then test this trend line. And ultimately, we did gap down, immediately touching this level, that much validating how key it is, guys. And once again, we gapped up, right? Once we gapped down from news, we left this level for the bulls for the short term. They grinded up, found the descending trend line, got a little bit weak, and then bad news, gap down. So we really should expect the same thing. You know, it isn't a good sign to obviously, right, gap down, fill the gap, and now boom, you're right back here. It's kind of like, ah, man, really? You know, the buyer's like, ah, we just defended these lows. So, you know, if we do start to march up, we'll have extra momentum likely from this double bottom like structure. Despite this low being slightly lower in context, it's still a double dip buying opportunity in the most simple essence, right? So with that being said, it really is as simple as that, guys. On the daily, check out this low. If we break from that 288 level, I can't say this more times, guys. I mean, I can't say it enough times. Sorry, right? This is such a key level. We're going to go mark this up and make this a very big level. This is key. Right? If we break this, we're likely to come down to this next support level. Notice how in the past when we had this Elon news, we mentioned, hey, we're going to bounce here. We're going to bounce here. There's a very good chance. If we pull up the Bollinger Bands, we're extremely extended from it. We see these regression traders really step in these durations. Notice how we get outside of that and then we squeeze right to the top. So we're almost outside of that as of now. You know, we should expect once again to push to this region, right? It's a little bit suspect once again, seeing us gap down, but hey, the bulls have done their job, guys. The worst case scenario for today is that the buyers get flushed out hard, right? We completely knife down with a huge candle, just boom, right? Then this can initiate a downtrend, knifing at this major support level the second we get down, even being, right, overextended to the downside with the gap down. We did not see that. So as of now, guys, as a technical analyst, the only probable situation we have to keep in mind is that we break over the top, and keep this in mind. If we break over the daily high, let's go flip over the hourly. If we break over the high of today being at that 297, we want to put it a little bit higher because this is prone to false breakouts. If we break over 297, really should be moving to fill this gap, guys. As simple as that, 314.50. But to the contrary, if we break the floor, should be moving to this 273 zone. So, you know, that's what we're looking like on the daily, guys. Really as simple as that. And the last thing we really want to touch upon is that there is a cup and handle forming. We see stock price initiate on this super critical level, guys. We keep mentioning this 362 level. We knife down hard, forming this downtrend, entering consolidation where we are neutral. Then the buyers step up, they do their job, they revisit where we initially dropped, and now we're entering this handle-like formation. And this handle is pretty big relative to this cup, right? A little bit unorthodox in nature, but it's not always picture perfect, guys. It's more or less the theory, the structure, the pattern. So, you know, we're way at the floor. We're slightly below this trend line, but there is a lot more upside to test this, right, than down, as we're right here. So it is a pivotal level, guys. We're not going to lie. Like, you know, if stock price consolidates here, builds energy, and then cracks beneath this, this is where we can see sellers step into this next level. Keep 100% honest, guys. We're in a very sensitive spot here, guys, as if we bounce, once again, we can rise, right? Likely retesting this level eventually, but if not, this will be invalidated. This whole cup and handle structure, it won't be as pretty for the buyers. The sellers will like to step in, especially on the break of this candle low, guys. So let's go jump over to the hourly. Finish off our technical analysis. So we do have this descending trend line from a micro perspective. Keep this in mind, right? Like there is a good chance we do, if we do break above this high around that, I believe it was that 298 zone, 297, right? We do break above, eventually try to find resistance up here. But really, guys, all we're seeing is that we're seeing very tight price action on the hourly candlesticks. Really just getting ready for that next move, getting tight for either the retest of this gap zone, right? Or to come lower to 273. As of now, guys, we definitely do lean on the side of the bull, stepping up. As in the past, whenever we have a gap fill, we step up. Notice here we set that gap right at 327 from this tiny gap. We immediately reverse, even in a volatile moment. Notice how right when we fill that gap, right within this day, we kind of just get dull. We consolidate within this flag breakout, right, was short-lived. And even in the past, guys, we set this gap over here. Right when we flip down, we come exactly to that zone, and then it gets dry. Then it gets dry, and then we make the next move. We keep looking and looking, guys. Tesla is very responsive to this, and you know there is a gap led down here, which is right adding more fuel to the fire for the sellers. If we break this candle low, this can be a long-term price target they look to fill. So, you know, I'm hoping I'm not talking in circles here, guys. Tesla really is an interesting spot. If any, you know, technical analyst breaks this down in the most simple way possible, and I think they're wrong. We're looking at a really interesting image of stock price. We've seen a ton of chop within the short term, but in reality, we have a pretty clear image here where we should go within the current constraints. But this is a chart where I believe a high level technical analyst has to pick up to be able to see exactly what's going on. That being said, guys, my name is Dylan from Dylan's Trades. If you found any value out of the video, consider subscribing to make these updates about 2 times per week. With that being said, guys, keep an eye on these major gap fills areas and all these levels, man, in this very volatile moment. That being said, once again, guys, have a good day. Take care, trade smart, and peace.